In the fast-moving world of global music, few stories are as gripping as the evolution of Jonathan Antoine. As we move through 2026, the man who once stood trembling on a stage in London has effectively redefined what it means to be a modern tenor. For years, the public viewed him through the lens of a 2012 reality show audition, but the boy wonder has been replaced by a sophisticated, lean, and intensely focused artist. It isn't just about the music anymore. It's about a total human overhaul. Journalists covering his recent European tour have noted a striking change in his presence. He no longer hides behind his hair or leans away from the camera. Instead, there is a grounded, almost stoic confidence that suggests he has finally conquered the demons that once threatened to derail his career before it truly began. His recent public appearances show a man who has mastered his craft and his self-image, yet whispers in the industry suggest this new Jonathan didn't come without a heavy price. There was a period of near-total isolation where many feared he had walked away from the limelight for good. But as he re-emerged, it became clear that this wasn't an exit, it was a metamorphosis. He wasn't just losing weight or changing his style. He was stripping away the layers of a persona that had been forced upon him by a demanding public. This shift has left fans and critics alike wondering what exactly triggered such a sudden and total redirection of his life. But that mystery would soon be solved by a revelation that no one saw coming. The most significant turning point in Jonathan's recent history wasn't a platinum record or a sold-out show, but a clinical diagnosis that arrived like a lightning bolt. For years, the media described Jonathan as quirky, shy, or socially awkward, often missing the deeper truth of his experience. In a candid 2026 retrospective, the reality was finally revealed. Jonathan is on the autism spectrum. This wasn't a SHCKNG tragedy, but rather a profound moment of clarity for the singer. He's been vocal about how this diagnosis allowed him to forgive himself for years of feeling different or broken. In the high-pressure world of operatic performance, sensory overload and rigid schedules can be paralyzing, yet Jonathan spent a decade navigating these waters without a map. He's recently spoken about the harrowing, internal battles he faced during his early 20s, where the noise of fame clashed violently with his need for order and quiet. By embracing his neurodivergence, he has essentially exposed the lack of support for artists who don't fit the typical mold. This honesty has created a massive wave of support, but it also opened up a conversation about his past partnership that many had been afraid to touch. If he was struggling this much internally, how did he manage to stay in the spotlight for so long? When the partnership that introduced him to the world finally dissolved, many predicted Jonathan would fade into obscurity. The transition from a dynamic duo to a solo act is a path littered with failed careers, and the stakes for Jonathan were astronomical. He was no longer part of a pair. He was a solo artist responsible for his own legacy. Rumors of tension and creative differences circulated for years, but the truth was more about a desperate need for individual identity. Stepping out on his own meant he could no longer hide. Every note and every missed beat would be his alone to bear. Industry insiders recently speculated that the pressure of this transition led to a brief but intense period of burnout that saw him cancel several high-profile engagements. However, the 2026 version of Jonathan Antoine has proven the doubters wrong. He didn't just survive. He thrived by leaning into a repertoire that challenged the very boundaries of classical crossover. He took massive risks with his sound, moving away from safe, radio-friendly opera into more complex, emotionally raw territories. This bold move silenced the critics, but it also highlighted the physical toll his previous life had taken on him, a toll he was finally ready to address in a way that would sustain his followers. Perhaps the most visible part of Jonathan's 2026 journey is his physical triumph. For years, his weight was a topic of tabloid discussion, often overshadowing his vocal talent. But rather than following a dangerous or SHCKNG surgical path, Jonathan chose a method that was deceptively simple: discipline. He began a regime centered around 10,000 steps a day, a commitment he maintained even during the height of his most recent tour. This wasn't about vanity, it was about survival. He has openly discussed how his previous lifestyle had led to a terrifying decline in his energy and vocal stamina. By taking control of his health, he essentially reclaimed his body from the narrative that he was destined to be the large opera singer. He's described the process as a slow-motion victory, one that required him to face the darkest parts of his relationship with food and comfort. Fans have been mesmerized by his slimmed-down appearance, but Jonathan is quick to remind everyone that the mental discipline was the harder part to achieve. This new physical lightness has translated into a vocal agility that many experts say is the best of his career. However, even with his health at an all-time high, new controversies have begun to surface regarding his future in the industry. As we sit in the middle of 2026, the rumor mill is spinning faster than ever. While Jonathan has never looked or sounded better, some believe he is preparing for a final act in the classical world before pivoting to something entirely different. There are whispers of a potential move into film scoring, or even a deep dive into neurodiversity advocacy that might take him away from the stage for extended periods. His latest project, which he has teased as his most personal work yet, is rumored to contain stunning secrets about his time in the industry, details that might expose the darker side of reality TV fame. Furthermore, recent speculations about his private life have suggested that Jonathan has finally found a balance that eluded him for over a decade. He's become a master of the quiet comeback, releasing music that tops the classical charts without the need for the gimmicks that define modern celebrity. He's proven that talent, when paired with authentic self-care, is an unstoppable force. But as he continues to evolve, the question remains: is the world ready for the version of Jonathan Antoine that doesn't care about being a star? Ultimately, Jonathan Antoine's life in 2026 is a masterclass in resilience. He has moved beyond the "Britain's Got Talent" label to become a symbol of what happens when you refuse to be defined by your lowest moments. From his diagnosis to his physical transformation, every step has been an act of defiance against a world that tried to put him in a box. He has faced the darkness, navigated the accusations of being a one-hit wonder, and emerged as one of the most respected voices of his generation. His story serves as a reminder that the most shckng thing a person can do is stay true to themselves in an industry that demands they change. As he prepares for his next global tour, Jonathan isn't just singing for the audience. He's singing for the person he used to be, the shy boy who didn't think he belonged. Today, he belongs everywhere. His journey from a struggling teen to a triumphant icon is complete, but the music is just beginning. What he does next will likely redefine the genre once again, leaving us all to wonder how much more this incredible artist has left to reveal.